You're listening to a special edition of the Twin Soo's only local, regional, and national sports show, The Game Sports Show, live from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. Host Dave McCaig coming to you live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booyah! And it's time for the Game Sports Show, the Twin Soo's only local, regional, and national sports show. You're listening to the show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or through the Scott Neeson YouTube channel. You may have also been directed here through our social media pages at The Game Sports Show or at The Game Sports Show SSM on Facebook or Instagram, respectively. It's March the 12th, 2019. It's yours truly, David McCaig, and I'm here joined by Justin Hykel at the opening part of the show. Later on, Brad will be joining Justin and myself here on the panel, and I'm going to introduce Justin in just a few moments. I'm going to get through the usual introduction portion of the show. We're here at Icebreakers, as I should say here on Tuesday. Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill, where they have delicious beer, delicious food, great atmosphere, and we're here in the VIP room, or as Justin would say, the champagne room, as we'd like to go with that term. I like the VIP room more, but we're going to open up the, let's say, the table to nicknames. I'm sticking with the VIP room right now as we're upstairs here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. We're doing a mega show here tonight, I like to call it. We are combining our Tuesday show, which is Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill, with all local hockey and local sports all into one that we discuss here. On Wednesdays, we do Sportscenter Bar and Grill, where it's basketball and football with our In the Pocket segment. We are just going to be doing In the Pocket here tonight from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. And then the Thursday show, which is for hockey and professional baseball, for both ends being professional, is from Northern Superior Brewing Company. And we're combining that here on the show as we are off from the show tomorrow, which is the 13th, and Thursday, which is the 14th, from Sportscenter and Northern Superior, respectively, because yours truly is going to Montreal and to Ottawa. So I will not be here for that. So we're going to combine all the shows into one. This first part of the show is going to be where we bring in the Pocket. Next part of the show is where we bring in Brad and the local perspective with Icebreakers. Then we will conclude the show with Northern Superior. And with In the Pocket, it's going to be more of a quicker segment with In the Pocket, because I've been notified by certain people on the panel on SportsCenter that to not get into all the news in full news, as they want to talk about it next week. But Justin and I are going to jump into it a little bit to give the listeners some breaking news that's just happened before we record the show. And also, we're going to talk about Antonio Brown. And then we're going to state a little bit of news that happened and save the full reaction for next week. So without further ado, Justin, I want to say hi to you, my friend, and welcome to tonight's show.
How's it going? Back, this week we're here again.
Yeah.
Is it Wednesday? So
it's Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Shit, yeah. That's, you're throwing me off. I'm usually ready for the Wednesday. Yeah, I'm usually here Wednesdays at Sports Center, but I guess since we're not at Sports Center, it's obviously maybe a different day of the week. That should have clicked it in my head there. Friday,
and Thursday you're at Northern.
Friday can't come soon enough, evidently, this week.
And you're just getting over the flu, too. I'll give you that. And Thursday we're from Northern Superior, too, where you're at lots as well. But, Justin, we're going to jump right into the show here. Okay, we know the show's agenda that's happening tonight. We know what's happening this week. After tonight's show, we'll be off until Monday from the Wicked Sister. The NFL. All right, the NFL news right now. Antonio Brown goes to the Raiders for 3rd and a 5th round draft pick. I'm not a fan of that. Some signings. Troy Flowers goes to the Lions. This is all unofficially as well because it gets announced tomorrow. Landon Collins goes to the Skins. Trent Brown goes to the Raiders. C.J. Mosley goes to the Jets. Matt Paradise goes to Carolina Panthers. You got Anthony Barr going to the Vikings. Ron Matthew goes to Kansas City Chiefs. You have Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith going to the Green Bay Packers. Adrian Amos going to the Packers as well. And you have Nick Foles going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Goodbye, Blake Bortles. But Justin, you and I quickly, because we just got a couple minutes here. Antonio Brown, 3rd round pick, 5th round pick, going back to Pittsburgh. You have Odell Beckham, which is the breaking news, getting traded to what? The Cleveland Browns for a 1st rounder, a 3rd rounder,
and
Jabril Peppers. Pittsburgh, I don't know where the fuck you were on this trade, but I'm not saying that I don't think Odell's that much more value than Antonio Brown is. Oh wait, Brown stopped this trade going to the Bills, and he has a blonde mustache or whatever or a blonde hair tip or whatever he's doing.
It's a blonde mustache.
It's a blonde mustache. Whatever he's doing, he's got an attitude thing going on.
He also prefers to be called Mr. Big Chest.
And Mr. Big Chest. Okay.
Stole that from you.
Okay, Mr. Yeah, no, that's definitely not not me. If you say Mr. Big Booty, perhaps. But now Le'Veon Bell. Now apparently he wants to go to the Raiders too.
Anyone that'll pay him.
And the Lions should be all over that. But anyways, reaction with Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham. Then we'll go to me, and then that's going to be it for In the Pocket. That's all we're bringing in for SportsCenter. I'm going to respect the wishes of the other panel members with Jamie Antonello, just releasing some of the news. I already stated who was going where with some signings that are supposed to happen tomorrow, and with the 2 big trades that has happened. And next week we'll have a full confirmation that we will jump into from SportsCenter. Justin, reaction on the 2 big moves in the offseason.
I mean, the Antonio Brown one was inevitable. It seemed like the Raiders is a match made in heaven for him.
Las Vegas next year.
He's a head case. The Raiders are a train wreck, so why not? Good luck with that. John Gruden, blonde mustache man. All that nonsense. The Odell Beckham one kind of blew me out of the water. Just what? Like a first, a third, Jabril Peppers. Like the Giants made out like bandits on that.
Yeah, they did.
And it's not like Odell Beckham has a great track record of being completely mentally stable, kicking nets around, getting in fights with the kicking nets on the sideline.
One-handed catches.
But, that's a difference maker. I mean, that's maybe what a first, a third, and a player get you. One-handed catches. Antonio Brown just runs his mouth. Makes Pro Bowls.
Odell Beckham is a Cleveland Brown. Pittsburgh Steelers like, what the hell is going on here? Why didn't we get more? Well, we're going to get full dissection of that next week. We just wanted to release some of the news in the National Football League, and we wanted to get into some reaction. I'm going to give you mine. Antonio Brown trade, I am absolutely pissed off. I feel we could have got more, but that's Brown's fault. We have a better presence without him in the room, obviously. Brown and Bell are gone. We have guys that want to be there in Pittsburgh. They're going to follow the plan. I trust Pittsburgh's offseason plan, and hopefully they can do some magic in the draft as well. With an Odell Beckham, that's a trade that I did not see coming. And good on the Cleveland Browns. Every Cleveland fan should be celebrating the streets. Everyone should be pumped. You have a chance to win the division. Even though you already did have a chance this year, you have an even higher chance to compete against the Steelers and Ravens for that division this year and make the playoffs. You have great receivers there with Landry there. You have some good young guns there in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield is the man. I bet you Cleveland's not done yet in this offseason. Cleveland is improving people. Cleveland is going to be the team to beat soon. Just saying. And it's going to be exciting to watch, especially in that division. Justin, you and I talked about some in the pocket, some quick in the pocket here on the Game Sports Show. That's what we're going to bring in the Sports Show in that kind of perspective. As we only have limited time, we got to talk about more of the local end with hockey here on the Icebreaker Show, because that's what we do usually. So without further ado, Justin, I'm going to let you take a quick little break. Even though you just started working about 7 minutes ago, we're going to listen to our sponsors, commercials, and we're going to bring in the one and only beautiful Brad Coccimiglio as he enters here in the VIP room. And when we come back, we're going to talk about hockey from a local perspective. Hounds, LSSU, Eagles, Thunderbirds, playoff action, everything. Everything's hot here in the Soo. The raviolis are hot here too. I almost just burnt my tongue before I started talking on the radio. And we had some cold beers there that helped my tongue maybe not get so burnt. If you're looking for a good time, come up to Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. And if you heard about Icebreakers, they did get broken into. I'm going to say that right now. And very much shame. I'm going to throw on what I saw there. That is absolutely brutal to see. And I have nothing but wishes to get to Jody and to Mitch Wilson here. The Game Sports Show wants to do something for them, but they've been really persistent not to do anything with it. They are handling the situation right now. They're doing their best on getting everything kind of replaced so they can bring forth the best still for the public. Come to Icebreakers and buy some beer and socialize with them. They're awesome. Lots of TVs and lots of hockey going on here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. It's the Game Sports Show, the Twin Soo's only local, regional, and national sports show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Brad Coccimiglio joins us here, so don't go anywhere.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show wants to thank its original home, partner, and sponsor since 2015, Sportscenter Bar and Grill, named the Soo's best sports bar for 3 years in a row. Sportscenter Bar and Grill is located on 624 Wellington Street West in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Make sure to come on down to Sportscenter to enjoy the great atmosphere with great cold beverages available, including those delicious Molson products. Don't forget about their famous 75-cent wing nights on Wednesdays. They're truly the best wings in town. Like and follow SportsCenter on Facebook at SportsCenter SSM. We look forward to seeing you today. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, the Soo's best sports bar.
Hi, this is Paul Maurice from the Winnipeg Jets, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Soo's only local, regional, and national sports show. We're here live at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill in the VIP room. And I'm joined once again by Justin Hykel, and we are now joined by one of the other panel members here on the Game Sports Show. Been around since 2018 at Boston Pizza. Known me for years. He's got a great smile. He's well known in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Soo, Michigan, Ontario-wide, anywhere. Everyone knows Brad Coccimiglio, writes for SooToday.com, Sportsnet. He's a panel member here on the Game Sports Show, as I've already alluded to. And he joins us here to talk about some local hockey and some professional hockey for part 2 and 3 of the show. Brad, as we sit here enjoying some good deep-fried Ravs from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill and their Icebreakers lager that they have on tap here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's nice to be in the presence of Mr. Hykel for once. It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't think we ran into each other since we were Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
You guys are Christmas shopping. Speaking of Christmas, I kind of want the snow to go away, and it seems like it's starting to a little bit.
Well, I don't know. It was nice to have the sun out today. It's supposed to rain the next 2 days, so it's probably going to be a fucking shit show around town. But the weather's been nice. Snow seems like it's finally starting to go away. And I don't think anyone's sick anymore. I think finally everyone's with the land of the living again, so it's nice.
See, I like seeing the sun, but on the way here, as I touched on when I got here, I have a flat tire. Right, I got a flat tire on the way here, and it's sitting in the parking lot now. The air is just being shocked right out of there now.
Oldest McCaig story in the world.
And I was literally looking down at the tire, saying, "Oh, are you fucking kidding me?" But you know what? I have to bring it to Dodge after here, anyways. And I'm going to Ottawa this weekend. I know I didn't really tell you that. I was going to Montreal and Ottawa this weekend to see the Leafs and Sens this weekend.
Sorry you have to go through that.
I feel bad for Senators fans. That's what I feel bad for. But, and that's going to transition us perfectly into talking hockey. But we're sticking locally here first, okay, Brad? We have playoffs coming for the NOJHL for the Soo Thunderbirds and the Soo Eagles. Soo Greyhounds have one more weekend, and let's just say it is a massive weekend to end the season, and it's very questionable about if Morgan Frost is going to be playing or not going to be playing at all. Then you have LSSU. LSSU sweeping the weekend against Bemidji State. Big. Now they play against Minnesota State this upcoming weekend. So we're going to dive into that. Then part 3 of the show, we're going to talk about the National Hockey League, especially when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs with that Morgan Reillys incident yesterday that has been kind of dealt with today, but we're going to talk about that as we continue here on the Game Sports Show. Brad, let's start, though, talking about the Soo Thunderbirds. Playoffs are a complete different cookie. Okay, it is completely different than the regular season. All right, Blind River played against the Soo in the final game of the season, March the 6th. The Soo Thunderbirds won 5-2. Blind River now plays against the Soo in their, this would be Blind River's second round of the playoffs. They want to continue from their first round as they had to go on to play against the Soo Thunderbirds. Your present of winning that first round is playing the first in the league, and that is the Thunderbirds. And they start at 7 o'clock on Saturday the 16th against Blind River. And then they play Sunday against Blind River here in Soo, Ontario as well. They don't go to Blind River until Tuesday next week at 7 o'clock. All games at 7 o'clock. 2 games here, 2 games in BR, and if necessary, Game 5 will be here on Sunday, March the 24th. Can't count out Blind River. Well-coached, hard-working team. Johnny Parco, who we do not have coming by here tonight, unfortunately, but we do plan to have him on next week as the playoffs continue. It is, like I said, a complete different cookie doing the playoffs. It doesn't matter what league you're in. The Thunderbirds should not take Blind River lightly. Blind River should go in and not be discouraged because they're playing against Soo Thunderbirds. It's going to be a great, hard-fought series for both teams, I believe. The Soo Thunderbirds, obviously, in my opinion, have the edge in different ways. Statistically wise, proves it all. I don't need to list all the different reasons. But talking about this series, how competitive, Brad, do you think this series is going to be between the Beavers and the Thunderbirds?
Yeah, I mean, you could potentially be looking at like a 6-gamer. I mean, it's one of those things that, you look at Blind River. I mean, they're obviously, they haven't had any time off. They didn't have, a break like the Thunderbirds did. That's, sometimes a good thing. And, this is a team that's, it's got some decent talent up front. You look at a guy like Brendan Young had 70 points this year. Had a real good year. Ryan Mulligan, who is a familiar face around this area. He had a quiet but good year. He had 13 goals. He's a kid who, he's talented enough to play both up front and on the blue line. He's primarily been a defenseman, but he's a guy who can put up numbers and can kind of lead things from the back end. So. This is a Blind River team that's not going to make things easy. I mean, Kyle Brick's done an outstanding job with that program, and they're not going to be an easy series for the Thunderbirds at all. They're going to need it's a team that they're going to need all hands on deck. You look at Blind River in goal. I mean, local kid Garrett Boyanowski's had a good year there as well. So it's going to be a tough team, and that's going to be a real good series. I think both series on that side, whether it's the Blind River Sioux series or the Sioux Mish Rayside series, I think both are going to be pretty good series. And again, this one's probably one that could you could look at as potentially a 6 or 7 gamer.
I like when it comes to the Blind River philosophy of hockey. It's just that hard work, 2-way game, but they can put the puck in the net.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have the Thunderbirds with Lucas Terrio, who's had a fantastic campaign with the Thunderbirds.
Noel Bowman's another guy.
And Bowman, Smith, McDonald, their captain. And they're a team that plays really well together with high chemistry in the locker room. Not saying that Blind River isn't. I'm talking about the Thunderbirds particularly right now. And they're very well coached. Like Blind River is too as well.
Yep.
But speaking with the Thunderbirds, as I mentioned, they're a team that last year had an exit that they aren't too pleased with. And a lot of those players are back. And they want redemption, and that's dangerous. And just because they had that break, I know some people may think of it as maybe an advantage for rest, but deeply in my mind, I don't think it is an advantage. I've always been a fan of when playoff day 1 starts, you want to play, and you want to continue to play. Now, if you're the Sioux Greyhounds, last year they maybe would not say the same thing because they played 5 or 6 more games before Hamilton came here, right? So. There's 2 sides to that coin depending on what kind of level you're playing hockey at. And these kids are well-tuned. The Thunderbirds have a good program in keeping the Thunderbirds rested and in good mindset, and same with the Beavers. So anyone want to see some good hockey, it's coming to the John Rhodes Community Centre this weekend on Saturday, which is, as I mentioned, March the 16th, as the Thunderbirds play at 7 o'clock against the Beavers. And they play Sunday at 7 o'clock here at the John Rhodes as well. The Game Sports Show will be on hand. Yours truly will not be on hand, however, but we will have particular staff members of the Game Sports Show here covering the game as well and throughout the entirety of the Soo Thunderbirds playoffs. Transitioning to the Soo Eagles quickly from my end, and for the Sault Ste. Michigan listeners, which we know are just as equally as high here as what they are in Soo, Ontario. The Sault Michigan Eagles have a date with the Rayside Balfour Canadians. They start Saturday as well, the 16th, and I'm sure Sudbury will be packed there. They play the first 2 games there at 7 and 6:30 respectively. They go to the Polar, and I love that atmosphere at the Polar in the playoffs, let me tell you. When you're playing junior hockey in the NOJHL and the Tier 2 level junior, I'll say right now that the Polar Stadium, the Polar burgers are absolutely just going down delicious. The beers are going down the throat hot. The people get absolutely, actually not going down the throat hot, they're going down the throat smoothly is what I mean. Let me correct myself. It's the burgers that are hot. But the fans are throwing beaver tails to play the Beavers on the ice. I don't know what they're going to throw on the ice if it's Rayside Balfour. They throw Thunderbirds on the ice and they play the Birds. People are booing. I remember being a part of the Eagles team when they played against the Birds to fight in stands. Like this is old school hockey when it comes to Polar Stadium. And the Sioux Michigan listeners, I want to tell you guys out there, you guys are passionate fan base. And I want Sioux, Ontario to take note of that because I know we don't have a rink like the Polar Stadium here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. We've already beat that on the head a million times on the show. But I'll say right now the Polar Stadium is expected to be rocking next Thursday when they play at 7 against Rayside. And you can't count out the Eagles against Rayside either. That's another hard-working, underestimated team are the Eagles.
And let's face facts. I mean, if anyone's going to know what it's like to play a playoff game in Sioux Mich, it's going to be Dave. I mean, let's be honest. The guy did play like 1,000 NOJHL playoff games there. Between playing for the Thunderbirds, Blind River, and Sioux Mich. So
all the teams at once.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was on all the rosters.
That is going to be a good series, 100%. I mean, that's that race. And the thing is like the Polar is actually a good spot for Rayside because they're usually a strong, tough team to play against. So, for them to play in a rink like that is going to make that series even that much better, I think.
And the Eagles love their home rink at the Polar.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're going to be packed there, are they, at the Polar Stadium. So again, 7 o'clock, they're 7 and 6:30 this weekend in Chelmsford. Rayside Balfour Canadians this weekend. Then they play Thursday at the Polar, the 21st, 7 o'clock. Then Friday, 7 o'clock at the Polar. Then Game 5 will be in Sudbury if necessary for either squad. I want to stick with Sioux Michigan here, Brad. The Sioux Michigan area with LSSU, unfortunately, yours truly couldn't make it across the border on Friday. And to my sorry to Scott Nason and to Becky, his girlfriend, very sorry that I wasn't able to make it. Yours truly had hockey of his own, and believe it or not, dealing with a back injury where I shouldn't even be playing hockey. So that's my excuse for not going. It's a much better excuse than some other people we know. I don't have to throw that out of the bus to anybody here. But Scott and Becky, I apologize I couldn't make it. And Brad, I got to say to you, I apologize I couldn't make it. Because you were there, and we were supposed to sit beside each other. Yeah. But I'm glad Scott was there to cover on behalf of the show, and I'm glad you were there to cover on behalf of the show, and, of course, with Soo Today, your main outlet. So you have that game against Bemidji State, I should say. Friday, 4-2 win. Saturday, 3-1 win in the quarterfinals against Bemidji State. Can you talk about the two games and what went right for LSSU? Definitely tight games. Bemidji State's a good hockey club. Okay, Minnesota State's going to be a test this upcoming weekend for them. But before we get into that, Bemidji, what was successful for Lake State?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, they got good goaltending out of Nick Kossoff, which is obviously huge. And that's a team that struggled at home this year. I mean, I think they won one Saturday night home game all year. They were a team that had some struggles at home, and I mean, they just went out and kind of faced the demons. And that Friday night game, it was tight. It was they were in a position where Bemidji wasn't out of that series by any means. That Friday night game, Bemidji carried the play at times. And I mean, Lake State they managed to kind of withstand the storm, so to speak. And I mean, I know it's cliche to say that, but I mean, the Lakers had 4 shots in the first period, and even that I think was being a little on the generous side. Bemidji came out real hard Friday night, and the Lakers withstood that, come out with a much better second period, and then it was kind of all uphill for them from there. So. Again, this is going to be an extremely tough weekend going into Minnesota State. They're going to need good goaltending. I mean, Nick Kossoff's going to have to be huge again for them, this weekend at Minnesota State. And I mean, let's face it, this year's playoffs are a little different in the sense that it's basically all hosted. So like every playoff round is hosted by the schools as opposed to having a tournament like some leagues do. So we're looking at, let's face facts. I mean, we're looking at if the Lakers do happen to get through Minnesota State, they're going to be on the road in round 3. But I mean, Minnesota State, they're one of the best teams in the country for a reason, and they're going to need the Lakes are going to need good goaltending. They're going to have to be extremely good and responsible defensively, and get some timely goals. And I mean, I know it's cliche to say that, but that's that's just the way that it is. And I mean, the Lakers are a team that's been that has been very good on the road at times this year. So if there's a silver lining to playing the best team in your league, that's probably it. And it's going to be a tough series, but they got a lot to build on from the Bemidji series.
See, the Minji's now in the back mirror, as I like to say, or the rear view mirror. Wow, let me get that analogy right, please. Mirror. The back mirror. That's going to probably be on the outlets or the outtakes. Wow, I'm just on fire right now. Outtakes. Now, with Minnesota, they are 1-3 against them. Are Lake State this year? They won the game that they did win 1-0. So people are going to look at that and be like, well, okay, they went 1-3, they're behind. I get it. Minnesota has a better statistical standpoint than Lake State does. They are rated higher than Lake State. But Lake State can underestimate this team. Great Lakes Invitational champions, which is big. They did have success against Minnesota. They didn't get blown out each of the games. They lost 5-3. Was one of the games. It was the recent one, I believe, and I think producer Ghost might correct me if I'm wrong on this, but other games was 4-2 and 3-0 that they lost against Minnesota State. So those are close games. All right, that's not like the Toronto Maple Leafs Tampa game last night where they're losing game 6-1. Okay, so you play a team that amount of times, 4 times, you get familiar with your opponent. They played them that first weekend. They lost both games. They went on the second weekend. They split it. They watched the tape. They practiced. Now, what says that they can't go to Minnesota and sweep the weekend? I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's tough, but you can build. And this is what I find with this Lake State team. They're just persistent, and they continue to improve, and it seems like they adapt well against the competition. That's my own opinion.
And I mean, you know what? Like, it's going to be extremely tough. I mean, this is a Minnesota State team that early in the year in October went and they swept Boston University at home, and then I believe they split against North Dakota. So I mean, this is a Minnesota State school that has went and played some pretty darn good schools. But I mean, Lake State's also had a good year. I mean, Lake State's been ranked nationally by USCHO, the U.S. College Hockey Online media outlet down there. They've been ranked off and on during the year too. So I mean, these are 2 nationally ranked teams, and I expect it to be a tight series. I don't by any means expect any blowouts in this series. But this is a Minnesota State team. I mean, their first 3 weekends of the season, they played Boston University, North Dakota, and Minnesota, and ended up coming out, I believe, with 4 or 5 wins out of the 6 games. So, this is a Minnesota State team that's real high end. I mean, they're the best team in the Western Collegiate League for a reason. But not by no means can we count out Lake State. I mean, this is a school that has had a really good year. They've managed to battle and come back, and they're in a good position going forward here.
Lake State playoff action. They play this weekend against Minnesota State, Friday the 15th at 8:07, 16th 8:07, then Sunday would be at 8:07 as well, if necessary. The finals, WCHA Championship, would be next Saturday, which Lake State would be on the road if they were to make it that far. Brad, we got about a handful of minutes with the Soo Greyhounds to talk about here before we go to break. We come back, we got to bring Justin back in officially, as he sits here and waits patiently for us to complete the local segment here of the show. And we're going to talk about some National Hockey League news. Soo Greyhounds. Whoa. That's the words I want to use with the Greyhounds is whoa. Okay? And not whoa because of wow. Not because of, I'm just saying they lost to Windsor. They lost to Sudbury. Morgan Frost. We don't know what's going on there. They're behind Saginaw by 3 points. They beat Sarnia 6-1. Saginaw plays Sarnia. And they're playing right now as we speak. The Hounds play Saginaw Thursday, the 14th, at 7:05. They play London, 7:07. And then they play Sunday against Saginaw. Huge weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be there live to watch the games like I want to be. But speaking of which, there is some good teams coming to town this weekend, some big 3 games coming up for the Hounds to really determine kind of the playoff picture. People are already saying that the Hounds are going to be that 3rd seed. That's what people are pegging them at. Okay, and right now, if the playoffs were to happen, it seems like they're going to be playing the Owen Sound Attack in the first round. Which?
3rd year in a row.
3rd year in a row for them. So, do I consider the Hounds favorites in that series? Sure. But then when you go to the second round, guess who's going to be waiting for you? The Saginaw Spirit. Because I'm sure they're going to be favorites over the Sarnia Sting unless Sarnia could be like the Hounds back in 2014, 15. It's 15-16 year when they defeated Sarnia. There you go. So, that could happen. All right, but I'm going to stick on the unlikely portion. Sarnia's 3-7 in their last 10. Saginaw's 8-1, 0-1. So Saginaw is also one of the least penalized team in the Western Conference, which is a big statistic that sticks out to me. Discipline. Okay, in that second round matchup, it looks inevitable right now. It's almost like Boston against Toronto in the National Hockey League. It's going to be a different test than what it was last year for the Hounds. If not, it's going to be worse because Saginaw's going to be absolutely pumped to play against the Sault Ste. Greyhounds this year. Now, since that does seem inevitable that that'll be the second round matchup, the Hounds need to try to get for a home ice advantage here. Is that not important, or do you think that it doesn't matter? It truly doesn't matter, Brad. Obviously, you want to win the games this weekend, obviously. But does it matter at the end of the day if there was home ice or not?
See, that being said, everyone makes this huge deal about having home ice. You got to keep in mind, having a home ice advantage basically means you have home ice advantage for one game, for a Game 7. You're not necessarily even guaranteed to get to a Game 7. So that having home ice in that game doesn't matter as often as people think it does. You still have to go out and win hockey games, and you look at last year. The Soo Greyhounds had home ice against the Hamilton Bulldogs. That didn't matter. Hamilton was the better team in that series. That didn't matter. If you're the better team, whether you have to win an extra game on the road or not doesn't really matter, because let's face facts. At the end of the day, if you don't have home ice, you basically have to win one of 4 games on the road. If you're the Soo Greyhounds, you've done that before. I mean, you look at that 15-16 Greyhound team. They were a 7 seed going up against a 2 seed in Sarnia in the first round and won Game 7 on the road. Did having Game 7 at home make a difference for Sarnia in that series? Not at all.
No.
So I mean, does it help having that game at home? Maybe. But you're still forcing both teams to travel if that series gets to a 7th game. Both teams are still going to have to make travel between Game 6 and 7. It's different. It's different if a team doesn't have to travel and they're already home. Then yeah, having home ice makes a little bit of a difference. But in a 7-game playoff series, it's nice to have that 7th game at home, but I don't know necessarily that it's as big a deal or as big of an issue as a lot of people think it is.
Ooh, smart take from the one and only beautiful Brad Coccimiglio.
Hot takes.
Hot takes right there. Hot out the kitchen, as we would say. Now, Brad, final thoughts of the Greyhounds before we go to break and we bring back in Justin for some NHL talk. Morgan Frost. Everyone's curious. Everyone wants to know. The guy just actually put a happy birthday shout out on his Instagram. Okay. To one of his friends, I believe, the Sudbury Wolves. I don't get corrected if I'm wrong. But can you give us a little bit of an update in regards to Morgan Frost is suspension or to be suspension, or how long it's going to be, or a little bit of the situation or anything?
And you know what? It's funny because that's not the first time I've been asked that today.
Yeah, I bet.
I've received more than 1 or 2 text messages. Some have been, hey, do you have any
bribes in those, or what?
Do you have any inside info on what's going on? I did actually have a I have had actually a couple of quick chats with Andy Frost, father of Morgan.
There we go. Yeah, it was on the show 2 weeks ago.
Andy and I have had a few conversations over the last few days about what's going on. I mean, I wasn't shocked that he sat out Sunday's game. I mean, that's pretty standard. When a guy receives a major penalty on a weekend, that's usually pretty standard that they'll sit out the games on the weekend.
Yeah.
As far as I know, the plan was the league was going to review the play yesterday being Monday. As of right now, the league hasn't announced anything yet. That actually, and the weird thing is that Sarnia game, that might not be, and I have to look, but that might not wind up being the only issue coming out of that game. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Morgan Frost got suspended. I mean, Nick Grima was the player on the receiving end of that cross check. I don't believe he played after the play. He did leave the ice, and I'm pretty sure he was cut.
Behind the play, right?
Yeah, and that's the issue, is it was behind the play. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he got suspended. One player from that game against Sarnia who I'm surprised is playing tonight is Mitch Elliott. Only because there was a little bit of an issue during a late game altercation. There was a scrum, a rugby scrum, essentially.
There you go.
With a lot of guys involved on both teams, a lot of pushing and shoving. His guys were getting separated. Mitch Elliott was going at it with Joe Carroll, and they were, Mitch Elliott was pretty well telling Joe Carroll what he thought of him, and it wasn't good things. And
he wasn't inviting him over for dinner?
I don't think they were making plans for after the season. And the only reason I can say that with pretty good confidence is the fact that as Mitch Elliott was getting pushed away, he used the throat slash motion while looking at Joe Carroll. I have to admit I'm a little surprised because I know there have been players suspended for that in the past by the league, so I'm not sure if the league had the video, but Mitch Elliott is in the lineup for Sarnia tonight against Saginaw. That game down in Sarnia, it's 3-2 as we speak. It's 3-2 Saginaw after 2 periods. Okay. Which means that the Greyhounds will need some help this week if that holds up. I believe Saginaw has London Friday before coming here Saturday. So they basically play the Greyhounds Thursday at home, London Friday at home, and then
day off
here, and then a day off, and then come here. If the Greyhounds get some help from the London Knights on Friday, there is the potential. I mean, and that's like the Greyhounds have to win out if this holds true because they'll be 5 points back with 3 games to play. They need
basic math. You need 6.
So so they would basically need the Greyhounds need to sweep, and Saginaw needs to get swept for them to win the division. But I mean, the only good thing for that is it's nice to have the last weekend of the regular season have meaningful games here.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of sucks that London's going to be coming in and not have anything to play for because they're already set in top spot. They've clinched the Western Conference, so that kind of sucks. But I mean, it's a good position because potentially both Greyhound Saginaw games are going to mean something the last weekend of the year. You don't get that very often where the last 2 games the last weekend of the season mean something.
It does here.
It's going to be unfortunate if the Greyhounds do have to play those games without Morgan Frost, but I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, these things are going to happen, and I'm sure we will find out, being Tuesday night, I'm sure we will find out sometime in the next 48 hours, what Morgan Frost's status is going to be coming into the last 3 games of the year.
You heard it here first. The one and only Brad Coccimiglio, SooToday.com, Sportsnet, and the Game Sports Show's own. And he's number 1 in your heart, so at the same time. This has been part 2 of the Game Sports Show here live at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. And this has basically been the Icebreakers portion of the show because if people remember from what I said at the beginning of the show, we're doing kind of a quote-unquote mega show However, Jamie Antonello had a last-minute cancellation, and so did Dane Hancho. I guess banks
Dane's
are
all-
open past 6 o'clock.
Dane's always got last
So,
minute.
so we didn't have as big of an action-packed show as we figured, or Matt Primo was unable to make it despite playing me at hockey in the next hour.
I think he's scared. Yeah, that
That
might
be it. So there's a couple changes, but we are still combining each show onto today's show, essentially speaking, as we will not be at Sportscenter or Northern this week until next week. We're back into action with all 4 shows. So we've covered already at the beginning of the show the Sportscenter show within the podcast, essentially with myself and Justin. Brad and I have talked about the Icebreakers edition portion of the show. You're covering all local. So guess what that means? Process of elimination. Part 3 means Northern Superior Brewing Company portion of the show in terms of what we discussed on the Thursday show. We're going to talk about the National Hockey League, and then we are going to talk about some 3 up, 3 down in baseball before we sign off tonight's show. You're listening to the show on thegamesportshow.com and the outlets on Podbean, YouTube, and Facebook, Instagram, social media. Dave McCaig alongside Justin Hykel and Brad Coccimiglio. We're going to hear from our sponsors. When we come back, more sports talk here on The Game Sports Show.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a Northern thing.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm non-bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Soo Pee-wee Pro Shop. The Soo Pee-wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Soo Pee-wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Soo Pee-wee Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, this is Joe Bowen, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show from Sault Ste. Marie.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Soo's only local, regional, and national sports show here live at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. I'm here joined by Justin Hykel once again and rejoined by Brad Coccimiglio here for the third part of tonight's edition from Icebreakers. Say it, if you will, the Northern Superior Brewing Company portion of the show here live at Icebreakers, not to confuse anybody. We're going to talk about the National Hockey League and the professional, and we're going to talk about a little bit of baseball from my end with a 3 up and 3 down. To conclude the show, we got about approximately 12 to 15 minutes here on the show at max, where we're going to be, which we're trying to get around that area so we can follow that time frame. It's the best thing about podcasting is you can break some time, but when it comes to live radio, though. We don't follow that. In the live radio show, you hear live on the Monday edition. Scott Nason was there on Monday. He did a fantastic job, as always. And I was not able to make it on location this past show on Monday, unfortunately. But we'll be back there on Monday. And as I said at the top of the show, we're combining all three of the Soo Ontario shows in tonight's show. Fellas, let's get started with the National Hockey League. I want to start right off the hop with the hot news in the National Hockey League. I want to say that it's hot news because it's just happened last night.
Is it hot news or no news?
Well, it's either hot news or no news, but either way, it's still news. Morgan Reillys,
It's unfortunate that
was apparently kind of, let's say, accused of saying, and I'm going to say it, he said, quote, unquote, fucking faggot, is the words that he used in the stride that he was using towards the ref or whatever was used. Well, allegedly, it's Morgan Reillys that said it. Okay, and if you get the mic, you can look it on YouTube. It's all over YouTube. There's ways to listen to it. Now, there's another phrase that apparently could have been said through Tampa, Justin, and that phrase was...
And the Tampa bench was saying, they were saying ragged. So, I mean, I don't...
And ragged is a term where you get the puck and you rag it around the boards, or you kind of watch out for that kind of... It's something around those lines, from what I understand. It's not really a term that I use a lot in hockey. I would just say rim it was the term I would use, or man on. There's kind of simple terms like that. But again, you know, there are other terms in hockey that I may have not been accustomed to, so I'm not the only one who's ever played hockey. So it definitely sounded like in the video that the F word, not the F-U-C-K word, was used as the F-A-G word, along with three other letters, attached to that was used to it. So today we developed news that on the investigation of it, Justin, that he didn't use the homophobic slur. And that's what CBC Sports released 2 hours ago on their highlight. That's what's been the press conference with Dubas today. It was Reillys and Dubas sitting together as Reillys sat there and seemed really kind of uncomfortable, let's say, and said or not said. Okay, if he did say it, it's not good to say, especially, it's just not right at all. But if it wasn't said, it's time to drop it and let it go, and hopefully no one takes it further than that, because the homophobic slurs that have been used in professional sports have gone a lot of different ways. Some sports fans have held it against players, said it in the stands, or did things on social media. This is done with essentially now. It seems like it's closed. It's time to leave it be. But did he say it or did he not say it? From my end, I really don't think it seemed like he did. If you zoom in on his mouth, it didn't seem like he yelled at the ref. But again, that's just my opinion. Justin, you've been kind of silent for the last 25 minutes because we had Brad talking. I'm going to go to you first on your point of view of the homophobic slur that was quote-unquote used by Morgan Reillys that we determined is now not been used.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have one of these fluffy opinions in this whole fucking thing. Like this, it's frustrating. It really is. Because we're at the point now in 2019 where we are in this wonderful age of technology where you can basically assault anyone's character for any given reason at any point in time because you thought you maybe saw something. And in the world that we live in now, there's a lot of people that heard last night that Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman uses homophobic slur. And I bet you only 10% of those people that took that information away went back to hear the rest of the story today to hear that it was a non-story. So where he's going to get his name thrown through the news now for at least 10 days until someone screws up even harder or allegedly screws up, because that's where we're at. It's just a character assassination. I mean, yeah, he looked uncomfortable in the press conference because he had to sit there in front of the Toronto media, which is...
Not easy.
Well, there was probably less media at the OJ trial. Honestly.
It's funny because he's not wrong.
Than this shit show developing in Toronto today. Like, the guy probably went for 13 beers after the game. Or not after the game, after the press conference today. Like, really, do you think a guy who, at least in my mind, could very easily wear the C on that team and is having
Best season NHL, best season since Brian McCaig.
A Norris candidate quality season that, the Leafs haven't seen in 20 years. I just don't. I don't see him as the type of guy to do it, and I think we're past the point where we have to continually, year after year, have this conversation where you can't use homophobic slurs. I at least don't. I think we're past that point where hockey players. I mean, I tend to hold hockey players to a higher standard than any other athlete, just because of some of the, some of these guys are. I don't.
Professional athletes.
Their time isn't, when it comes to fans, when it comes to charity, their time isn't an object. And so to put, someone like Morgan Reillys especially under that microscope and to say that he would do something like that, I really don't think I don't think he did it, and I think we need to be past the point where, as the public, we're talking about this over and over and over again. Does it happen? 100% happens. I mean, we can't. Every single one of us has been on either a rink or a field or a basketball court where some heinous shit has come out of someone's mouth.
Oh, a lot of things.
But when I just think for professional athletes, we're past that point. It's ingrained in the younger guys coming up now that that's not acceptable, and it's not happening. It's much like fighting is going by the wayside. This stupid nonsense where, I don't know. I could rant for hours about this, but I think it's a non-story, and in the grand scheme of things, all it was throwing Morgan Reillys' character under the bus.
Definitely was something that was investigated today and kiboshed pretty quickly. Now, Brad, before I go to you, Senior EVP of the Hockey Operations, Colin Campbell's statement that he released on Twitter on the NHL Public Relations page. There was, quote unquote, following a thorough investigation, the National Hockey League has determined that the Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman Morgan Reillys did not direct a homophobic slur at referee Brad Meyer during last night's game with the Tampa Bay Lightning at Scotiabank Arena. League officials interviewed several of the participants in the game, including Reillys and Meyer, and reviewed the audio and alleged incident. All of those interviewed admittedly denied that Reillys uttered a slur, and the audio supported their statements. The National Hockey League does not tolerate language or gestures that disparage anyone based upon their race, creed, or sexual orientation, and continues to work to ensure that our games are played in a welcoming atmosphere for all our players, coaches, officials, and fans. So that was released, so it's been kiboshed. Move on from it, seems like. But Brad, what's your thoughts on what you heard and saw potentially? Not that I'm throwing you on the bus to make another statement, open up another can of worms, but you heard it. I'm sure you saw it. What do you think?
You know what? I'm knowing what I know of Morgan Reillys and the type of person he strikes me as. I'm glad that this has come out this way, in the sense that I'm glad it was found that he didn't say it, because he strikes me, and I mean a lot of hockey players, like Justin said, a lot of hockey players at that level, you do hold them to a very high standard, and it's unfortunate that stuff like that still gets said, because there's no way that that's right in any stretch of the imagination. And I'm glad that it was a very quick review of it too.
Very quick.
It was basically, it happened within 24 hours. It was, okay, here's what went on, here's what we know, here's the decision. If I feel like if there was any possibility that Morgan Reillys had said it, it wouldn't have been decided this quick.
No. It was quick.
Yeah, and that's,
they woke up this morning and did it right away. That's what it looked like.
And that's the good thing. Like I said, it's unfortunate that there are people out there that still think saying that type of stuff is okay. And I understand that heat of the moment, sometimes you say things you regret. In that situation,
We've all been there.
Yeah, I'm glad that they come to this decision. They reviewed it very quickly, and now it's if I'm the media and I'm surrounding that situation, for me the story's over now. Yeah, maybe you talk about it tomorrow morning a little bit, just recapping what happened, but at this point, within 48 hours of that,
Forgotten.
it's over. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, by end of day Wednesday, this whole situation should be behind us. It's unfortunate that because of the magnitude of the situation, that's not going to be the case. This is going to get talked about for a while. I guess for me, my only issue now is if someone did say it, and let's say by some slim chance it was a player or a coach, because let's face it, there are mics all over the rinks these days. It's not like the quote
You can catch
unquote
fans
old
here.
days.
Yeah, voices too.
Like, what's to say it wasn't someone in the stands?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? And I mean, I hope that if it was a player, I hope it's dealt with. If they can find out, and it's tough to find out, but if it was a player, I hope it gets dealt with. And I think people need to realize that this isn't okay. Stuff like that is just not good. It's not okay, and again, I'm glad it got dealt with quickly, and I'm glad that it came out the way it did, in the sense that I'm glad that Morgan Reillys didn't say it, because let's face facts, that's not a thing you can say.
No, especially in Toronto, they're a big supporter of that community as well, as is today's society. But just say they have to hold that parade every year in Toronto as well. I know everyone has a parade that goes on, but Toronto has been the forefront of that for Canada. So, Morgan Reillys, you're out of the hot water. Not like you were really in it anyways, because maybe you didn't say it. But either way, that has been resolved. Fellas, quick thing I want to say about Toronto is they got absolutely kind of throttled last night by Tampa. Injury depleted Toronto. I'm not using that as an excuse. Gardner, Dermott being out of the lineup.
You don't like Jake Gardner anyway, though.
And Gardner is an improvement over Gardner's an improvement over Marincin and Oshiganov in the lineup. But again, this is still a team offensively that I didn't see any effort really yesterday until one of the goals that Matthews scored. I felt like they were behind the eight ball a little bit and left Anderson and Sparks out to dry, really, when they came in. So Toronto did outplay Tampa. There are a couple games that did play them, though. Outshot them one game 54-21. Then the one game they beat them in Tampa. So again, Tampa Bay came to Toronto, and they were prepared to play. Toronto was not. Toronto plays against Chicago. St. Pat's jerseys are being rumored to be worn in that game. Absolutely sexy. Then they got Philadelphia. Then they got Ottawa Saturday night, and I will be in Ottawa watching that game, as the Leafs have 3-game stretch coming up where they have a chance to get 6 points against teams that are underneath them in the standings, and they are 4 points behind the Bruins, where the Bruins right now are hot, very hot, and they lost their first game against Pittsburgh yesterday, and they're losing 5-4 to Columbus right now at the end of the second period, and they still have the Jets and then Jackets again, then Islanders. So they got a pretty tough schedule to the Bruins, so Toronto could catch up as they attempt to get the home ice advantage against the Bruins for the first round of the playoffs, because let me just say it right now. It's going to be Boston and Toronto in that first round. I think that is the most easy matchup to determine to come to the playoffs. One more point that I want to get to in terms of Toronto is Nylander better at center than wing. Let me bring that up. Is it crazy for me to say that try Kadri on the wing? Not for not for a full game, but why not be like, you know what? Nylander or Kadri, switch for a shift. Move Kadri up with Matthews, throw off the line combinations. Kadri could play anywhere in that lineup. The guy was drafted 7th overall. He was projected to be a top 6 forward. Right now, he's a top 9 forward playing third-line center, where on some teams he'd probably be a second-line center. But am I crazy to say that Nylander could be a centerman, better centerman than a winger? Or is he more of a winger? Brad, Justin, your take for a couple more NHL topics, and we're going to wrap up the show with MLB.
I mean, lately he's definitely looked more comfortable at center, I think. With Kadri's absence, I thought he filled in pretty well. But I don't know if it's a long-term, thing, keeping him at center.
He's a winger, but he can. It's nice to know that he can transition over to center.
He seems really comfortable, and I don't think that's a bad thing to have on your roster. It's nice to have those guys that can slot in and look at Brent Burns.
Brent Burns.
Like having a guy that's, playing, third line wing, second line winger, and then he also is a shutdown defenseman. Like,
oh, you need me to play the wing? Sure. Oh, you need me to shut down their top line? Yeah, I don't mind. I can do that too.
See, I'd rather Kadri shut down the line, but just that Nylander is starting to find his groove.
I don't
right. That's the big thing.
I don't see Kadri on the wing though.
No. Just a little experiment that had a friend of mine from work tell me. I thought I'd bring it up to give him a little shout out with that. But moving on quick to some other points in National Hockey League. Columbus and Carolina again with those celebrations. And not talking about the celebrations again in terms of what I like about them. I've already been there. But what I want to say about Columbus, all-in team, not looking that great in the playoffs right now. They're doing well against Boston right now. They're doing everything. They went all in, Brad, to try to get into the playoffs. And it's not looking 100% certain that they're going to get into the playoffs. They need to start to get hot. And they can't get behind the 8 ball anymore. They need to start to get hot if they're going to make it.
Yeah, that's a tough situation. I mean, that's a Columbus team that, there have been points this year where they've looked really good. Yep. So it's almost gonna be a little unfortunate if they don't get in at this point. I mean, that's a team that's fun to watch, and I would love to see what that team could do in a 7-game playoff series.
Columbus, that fan base gets booming. Get it? Boom with the gun? Yeah. Sorry.
Columbus is laying into the Bruins.
And Columbus is winning against the Bruins at a 5-4 at the end of the second period, as I mentioned. But now the celebrations with Carolina. I love them, sure, but now teams are starting to mock Carolina in Carolina when they win games. Now, is that for fun, or do you think that's a jerk move?
Well, the owner said if Carolina made the playoffs, that he wanted them to do it in opposing teams' rings.
Oh.
So,
okay.
I mean, that's just a taste of your own medicine. As far as I'm concerned, I don't really
didn't know that piece of news. Justin breaking the news. Didn't know that.
I don't have an issue with
it. Imagine being at Scotiabank Arena or in the Bell Center doing that. You'll get egged. You'll get knives thrown at you. I don't know what will happen.
You don't like it, win.
Yeah, and that's always been my point. If you don't want a team to do something like that in your own building,
when has someone ever done that in a rink?
It's like the Terrell Owens with the
ball on the
the Cowboys.
That was the Cowboys. Yeah.
And that's exactly my thing as well. Is if you're an opposing team and you don't want the Carolina Hurricanes to celebrate like that in your own building, there's an easy way. Just
win the game
out there and take care of business and win the hockey game, and then you don't have to deal with it. If you don't want it to happen, just win, baby.
Imagine. I would just love for them to do it at the Bell Center or Scotiabank Arena. I would pay. I would actually pay to see that happen in the playoffs, especially. I don't think it should happen in other rinks, but again, it's modern era.
Hey, you know what?
Modern era. I like that.
Going out and winning. Hey, I have no issue with it at all.
3 up, 3 down. Before I get to that, Brad, I'm going to sign you off. Justin, I'm going to sign you off. Justin, thanks for coming. We will see you next week, my friend. I'm guessing we'll see you Wednesday at Sportscenter.
Yeah, we'll be back at it for 2 in a row next week. It's some big football news next week, and I'll be there for the Northern Brewery show Thursday.
We did talk about a little bit of NFL news to kind of tease our reaction about the hot takes with Antonio Brown, then today's trade with Odell Beckham, what we did talk about at the top of the show quick. But we saved all the good stuff for Jamie. Got a little message from Jamie, be like, hey, you hold that. You don't talk about that till I'm here. Well, Jamie, we had to break news. You should be here besides doing that side job making money. But we did save you some for some reaction. We'll get into full detail next week when we have more time. Brad, so thank you for coming on by. I know you expected Dane and Jamie to be here. Obviously, they are disappointments. So that's totally fine. We have good listeners. They joined us as always. Scott Nason says hi from the board ops side of things. Brad, thanks for coming by. We hopefully see you next week. We'll have a better idea with the playoff picture for both LSSU if they're continuing to play and with the Hounds.
Yeah, by this time next week we'll know the playoff situations for both clubs, and
even with the Birds, the Eagles, everything will be all not the series, but it'll be
a busy stretch. It's a busy stretch.
Busy stretch, and that's why we're back to 4 shows a week next week. So thanks to Justin and Brad. I'll say quickly that with my 3 up, 3 down, I got my first point. The swing and a miss. Swing and a foul ball. Or swing. Yeah, I'll say swing and a foul ball it is. Because Vlad Jr. gets hurt. 3 weeks. Oh, great young guy. That's a big boy swinging that bat. That is a big boy swinging that bat, okay? I love it. I see his dad in him. I'm not concerned about this injury. It's probably more minor than what it is, but the Blue Jays are probably taking precaution to take the time. Second point, Marcus Stroman. This one's a line drive point on my second part, my 3-up-3 down. All of his tweets about Gio Gonzalez, Dallas Keuchel, Greg Kimbrell, and all those guys about how they're not signed, I love it. Maybe he's trying to get them to come to Toronto to gain friends with them. I don't know. I'd love to see Dallas Keuchel in a Blue Jays uniform. Why not? We got the money, Rogers. I know you guys have the money from a personal perspective. Where is the money going if you're not? I know you want to rebuild and do things, but these guys are just sitting around doing nothing. Why not bring in Keuchel on a 2-year deal? Why not bring in Gio Gonzalez on a 2-year deal? You can trade these guys, get value. There's things you can do. I think that Stroman's doing it because they should be signed, one, but maybe he's trying to entice them. Just a little bit. That's just my little feedback. Third point, and this is going to be my home run right here. Jake DeGrom will win the Cy Young on a national league this year.
That's a home run.
That's a home run. There's some good pitchers on that side. There's some good pitchers. I'm going to say he's going to be a slam dunk this year. That guy is in a league of his own, like it says on the MLB website. Absolutely, that guy's a stud. I'm glad it doesn't say Noah Syndergaard right now. We all know he's a stud, but we all know what the Jays got rid of him for. R.A. Dickey. That knuckleball worked at the Rogers Center, didn't it? No, it definitely did not. 3-up, 3 down with Dave McCaig here for baseball as the season nears. We're still in spring training. Still got lots going on, and the teams are still waiting to sign some big names that are in free agency. Bryce Harper's gone. Machado's gone. Big names are finally gone. Excited to see what this ball season brings, and if Vlad makes the squad this year, if they do give him one more year in the minors, which I hope they do to buy another year in his contract. I want to say thank you to Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill, Northern Superior Brewing Company, Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Wicked Sister, Northern Quitters in Need, Big Brother, Big Sister, North Shore Sports and Auto, The Salon, the Soo Peewee Pro Shop, Discover the Canvas, Eagle 95.1 Radio as well, for all your contributions as well with the Game Sports Show. Thanks to you, the listeners, as always, make us part of your night. And thanks to you, Scott Nason. Miss you, brother. I haven't seen you in about a month. I will see you next week at the Wicked Sister. This has been Dave McCaig here live from Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill doing the Mega Combining Show. Mega Combining Show. I got to make up a better name for that for future reference. But, again, until Monday at the Wicked Sister, as we are off until Monday, I want to remind listeners to keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, catch your touchdown, train your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.